You're on your own.
I don't know if you guys can hear me, but StreamYard won't let me stop this video. So we're going to have to wait till it ends. Should be fun. Thanks for being here, everybody. I don't even know how loud I'm talking because music is so loud in my ears. Hey, Adagio, good to see you. Awesome, awesome. At last, the song is over and we are live for real. It's good to see you guys. I'm so glad that you're here. Let's see, it's a little bit after 7 p.m. Central Time. I am Curly Roller, but please call me Curly. This is my my new show, Drum and Bass Questions and Answers, and I'm really glad you're all here. Let's see. Thank you for being here. I'm trying to remember all of the things I'm supposed to do. This is my second show with a guest, my second official show. I've done 2 Saturday shows now as well. I don't know why anyone listens to those since it's just me talking sometimes by myself and then sometimes with chat. But hey, whatever. As long as people are entertained. So yeah, if there's an audio issue or anything like that, please tag me in the chat so that I can see it. It makes it a lot easier for me and my old eyes. Jimmy, thank you so much for the raid. You're my first raid, Jimmy. That's so awesome. Love it. And yes, 11 people, massive. Everyone that came with Jimmy, thank you so much for being here. I hope you stick around. I think we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Yeah, if anything goes wrong, tag me in the chat. I'm going to do my best to involve you guys more in this discussion. Hey, BK, good to see you. T-Bone, Stabs, Doms. Oh my gosh, Doms, you are up late. So yeah, we're gonna get more questions from you guys this time. I know that NoUseForAnger will help me with that because he is, quite the multitasker. So anyway, yeah, I want you guys to be a part of the show as well. So let's see here. I have my little list. All right. I set up an active follow button, but I don't even know where to look to see if that's working. So yeah. But I also am going to be running on a timer, a command to get you guys the link to follow NoUseForAnger. If by some reason you know me but not him, please follow him. Yeah. Hey, Thank you, Billy, for letting me know that the follow button's working. Big up the 916 Junglist for his help. Oh yeah, the shout out command. Anybody can shout out. Please do. That's what we're here for. It's all love. Success for everyone is success for anyone is success for everyone. That's what I think. So yeah. Okay. Uh, Let me make sure. Have I done everything? Yep. I think that's it. Okay. Let's go. Let's make this happen. I'm a professional journalist. No, I'm not even close. But let's do an introduction. So, my guest tonight is Catch22. Catch22 is a robotic humanoid clone that spins jungle and drum and bass vinyl on Twitch under the username NoUseForAnger. He is well known for his epic selection, long mixes, and ability to chat in 73 streams while simultaneously mixing, cooking gourmet meals, and knitting me sweaters. He's currently in negotiations with his dog Nismo to transfer ownership of his stream to her, since the establishment of her camera sort of went to her head and to our hearts. I'm so glad to have him here tonight before she takes possession of the rest of his cameras. So let's welcome Catch22.
What's up?
Hey,
What an
buddy.
introduction. What an introduction, man.
I
Oh, that's
couldn't give
awesome.
you, I couldn't even try to give you like some kind of professional introduction. I had to have fun with that. But yeah, Anismo's not satisfied with treats anymore. She wants your audience, man.
Yeah, she wants the whole stardom. That's exactly what it is. I have to put a little, a little staircase up for her so that she can, get up on the decks and really steal the show 100%. Because
Excellent.
every time since we did that Nismo cam, and big shout outs to Lexi for sending the iPhone to have that work out. That
Yes.
worked out wonderfully.
Yes.
Um, Ever since that, it's amazing because I'll switch on the cam and then the chat is like freaking out. And when that happens, I'm like, I don't think they want to really see me anymore. Maybe I should just I'm like, man, maybe I should just leave it on her the whole time, you know? I was like, maybe I'll put like a little camera up in the top just so I can at least show some sort of facial expressions of,
Well, I mean,
watching my demise as Nismo rises into fame.
yeah. Is anyone live streaming their dog right now? Because that's actually kind of a cool concept. People love dogs, and
They really do. They
it
really do.
might be it might be a moneymaker. You never know.
Yeah, they really, really do. And it's funny too because I saw this like almost 3 years ago where somebody just like had like a dog cam and they were gamers and then like they would just hit a different button when they were using the restroom instead of like a BRB screen, they would just
Hmm.
boom cut to the dog. And I was like, one day I'm gonna make it. And that one day we're gonna have a Nismo cam. And for fuck's sake, it happened. And so I'm freaking out that it actually happened 3 years later that we have some sort of a Nismo cam. I mean, it straight up almost bunned the stream the other day because it locked up my whole computer and everything. But it didn't end the stream, which was awesome because I was really having a
Yes.
great stream on Sunday. It was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
everybody for just hyping me up. It's awesome with the direct feedback that we can all happen, and it really helps any streamer out. Like when chat
Yeah.
crew blows up, hello chat crew, what's up everybody? Big ups to Burner and Vaguely and Juiced and T-Bone and Jimmy for that awesome raid. What's up,
Hmm.
Billy? All the crews up in here. Thank you guys so much. It's
Yeah.
really awesome. What's up, Waden? But yeah, it's really a lot. It's fun. Like as you know, since you're
Hmm.
doing it now, it is
Hmm.
producing your own TV show from start to
Yeah.
finish.
Yeah.
Now, and it's everybody's like, "Oh, it's easy. I'm going to do this." And I'm like, "Yeah, if it's all what you put into it." And
Hmm.
there's people like Billy Lane. Billy Lane comes at me all the time with different things that he's researching, and man, that boy is putting in some work.
Nice.
And he just does all these little tidbits and everything, and my stream has grown because of his stream. And 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 sometimes I'm like, man, this is an awesome idea, I'd love to use it, but I'm not going to steal your thunder, I'm not going to use stuff out of your show. And he's like, he's always a gentleman about it. He's like, I didn't make it, I just found it. I'm like, well, you found it, so I'm not going to necessarily steal it to implement it. But it's awesome that there's just like that positivity in the community that everyone's trying to help
Hmm.
everybody do it. I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever
Yeah.
not answered a question that people have asked me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I definitely want to talk to you about that. I want to talk to you about all of that. But
Awesome.
so let's just start with like the oh shoot.
What
Let's
happened?
start with me not taking you out of the stream by
If she's going
accidentally
to bun
hitting
me
the
already,
button.
guys, I guess she's done. That was my 5 minutes of fame. I'm
No,
out.
no,
Deuces.
no, no. Um, so I want to get background on you because I know just enough to be curious for more. So
Okay. Yeah,
I know that you were involved in the scene in Indianapolis. We have a
I
common
was
friend.
with one of
Did
your
you?
favorite people in the world.
Yes,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yes. DJ Shiva, big up to her
Big
wherever
up
she's
to
at.
DJ Diva. I love that
Lisa,
woman. Yeah, Lisa is the best.
she's amazing. She's amazing.
She needs to give me her drum and bass record since she doesn't play them
Ah,
anymore. And she's all techno, but she still will not do that for me. And I understand.
yeah, they're hard to part with.
They really
Someday
are.
I'm someday I'm gonna mail you mine, but I'm
Oh,
just
I can't
not
freaking wait.
ready.
I'll just
I'm
drive over
not
there.
ready.
We'll just drive over and get them. Nisma
There you
has to stay.
go.
She doesn't ride in the car very well, but
So, did you grow up in Indy or
I'm actually originally from Columbus, Ohio. I'm a Buckeye. Woot woot. My parents all went to OSU and everything, and then I moved to Illinois, like a real small town called Springfield, and then I moved to Indy probably in like when I was really young, like first grade. So I'm
oh
pretty
wow.
much a Hoosier. I've been in
Yeah.
Indy my entire life, and that's what I've tried to. It's called the Circle City for a reason, because there's so many small little niches of crews, and just like every crew, one person that kind of connects a lot of those people together. What I used to call like the Kevin Bacon game,
Yes.
and
Yes.
th- in my town, I was kind of that person. Imagine that, because it seems like it has translated a little bit to Twitch,
Mhm.
that I try and get in these little pockets of people, and
Wow.
somehow that's helping us all unite together. I'm not saying I'm doing it, but we're all trying to do that. Especially, like I said, not to bring up Billy again, but
Yes.
with his 916 Jungle show, you gotta be kidding. With his 916
Catch
Jungle
your
show,
yeah.
that, that does it. That definitely helps out with that a lot.
Yeah.
Before that show and before going on his show, I didn't know a lot of the California crew.
Mhm.
So it really helped us all kind of blend together. And
Mhm.
that's what this is all about.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, the the uh, I think that you and the guys that were on with you before COVID, I think you guys have done a really good job of like setting a tone for people coming after.
Well, that's awesome.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was a long uphill battle. I mean, there was so many days of like we've talked about before. It was
Mhm.
literally Nismo and BB, Cycloptimus Prime, on their little tablets, and then me on my phone, just so I could cheat the system and get my 3
Mhm.
affiliate views.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to see now there's a lot of, and I'm not hating on it, but you guys don't have to
Mhm.
worry about that as much. We
Right.
have an
Right.
awesome crew of people that are all in the chat right now, and they're helping that out.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we literally almost had to borrow devices just to get it, just because I wanted
Right.
that affiliate. I wanted to make Nismo as an emote because she was the first emote, of course. The
Yes.
little dab Nismo. And yeah, so that's basically what we were trying to do. And it worked, but it's amazing how long it took. And, it's just an
Mhm.
uphill grind. And it's
Yeah.
nice that you guys don't really have to do that. But on the flip coin of it, I have to admit that some of the best friends I have made on Twitch are
Mhm.
those first couple of viewers.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
sometimes the new people that are streaming right now may not have that. They don't notice that connection that you get when you're like, "Oh my gosh, I have somebody that's not me watching my stream."
Right.
You know?
Right.
So,
Right.
and people are still like, "Oh, I only have like 7 viewers." And I'm like, "And none of them are you." And they're like,
Right.
"No." And I'm like, "Well, that's awesome. That's 7 people and this is your first stream?" Or yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really amazing that that's happening, And
Mhm.
it's awesome because it's a very
Yeah.
tiny little scene, and that tiny little scene has now gotten to the point where it's not tiny enough for us to not have very few viewers when we're starting out. People are
Right.
like, "Oh, I have 5 viewers. It was a tough day." And I'm like, "That's a great day. You've been streaming how long?" "Oh, I've been streaming a month or 2 or 3
Right.
months." And I was like, "Awesome, because you can
Mhm.
go and look at solelygnome.com and see how few of people I had for a year
Mhm.
of streaming, that it was amazing that you only saw that few of people, but you just
Mhm.
I loved it. I really loved it.
Mhm.
Now I did do gaming stream first, and then I
Mhm.
did find, like all these other people, I did find some really amazing people that were, T-Mox in the drum and bass community, T-Mox Crypto, Mystery, Tookniak, Vinyls, all these awesome people,
Mhm.
and they helped. So those were the people that started coming in my stream, and, like,
Mhm.
Helmahoth was the first person. He found me playing like Sound Clash and Crazy Jungle, and he was the first person to tip me. And I was the first person he tipped. Like, he had subscribed to
Wow.
people, but I remember running downstairs. I'm like, "BB, holy shit, somebody gave us money today. What is going on with this?" It was just a mind-blowing experience, and it's so amazing that other people get a chance to see this and have this
Mhm.
happen to them, and at
Mhm.
a higher rate, and at a faster rate as well,
Yeah.
which is really, really cool,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of other people, or some other people, can be kind of salty about it, but I think it's amazing. I'm
Mhm.
more or less, like I said, a little saltier that people don't get that first bump, that they it's really an accomplishment when that happens.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
something that, because you're just grinding away for, I average about 55 hours a month. And
Mhm.
when I first started doing it, I was the one that, like everybody, I streamed too much because this
Mm.
was cool. I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to stream every day."
Mhm.
Streaming every day is not really generally what you want to do. And that's once it started happening, it was very interesting to see it all click away. And then,
Mhm.
like, what happened was COVID happened, and once COVID happened, the numbers of viewership just went through the roof because everybody wanted something to do, and
Mhm.
that's helped out everybody exponentially, and we've all got to meet each other, which is
Yes.
really, really cool. Oh, that's awesome, Burner. I think NoUse was the first person that found me. Yeah, I remember watching him. He had his crew of people in the UK, and I came in there and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're playing these killer old school tracks." So that's all I did. I went to the bottom of the DJ list, or not
Oh,
DJ list,
yeah.
but of the music category. And generally, if there was ever going to be a drum and bass or jungle DJ, it was the 1 through 5 viewers.
Yes.
That's where I was. That's where Boiler Kitchen was. That's where Burner was. And then you had the kings of it all. You had Escape Velocity and T-Mox, and the old crew, because they had been even longer than us, and they were the ones that were pulling in the viewership. And it's like, man, one day that'd be cool if I had 20 people watch me, let alone 2 people. But
Yeah.
like we keep talking about, it's not about the numbers. It's about how much fun
Mhm.
you have.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Of course, you stop talking when I go to get a drink.
Yeah,
Um,
there you go. Exactly. We want to
yeah.
focus on the straw slurp. You got to do it louder so
Absolutely.
you don't hear it.
Absolutely. Well,
Absolutely.
and I'm an idiot and have a metal straw in a metal cup. I'm so professional. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
funny.
so we started talking about Twitch, but I want to talk about that more, but
Of
let's
course.
back up just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you find drum and bass?
I walked into okay, I was a punk rock kid, or industrial rivet head, whatever. Wore all black, had long hair down to probably here, big giant ringlet curls that would put yours to shame, no offense. I mean, bouncy Shirley Temple hair is what my mama used to call it. And I ended up with a buddy of mine named Brian, my best friend from up in Indiana. We were, at the time, I was doing photography for his band and a bunch of others. And somebody at one of the shows that we went to, it was called the Sitcom. We nicknamed it the Shitcom. It was like this little basement that fit maybe 20 people, 30, 40 people in there. It had crazy shows like Operation Ivy was in there with like 30 or 40 people and some really amazing punk rock events. And this person at this coffee shop in a place called Broad Ripple came in and handed us a flyer for a rave. And it
Mhm.
was, there's a guy that comes in my chat named Max Art that is my business partner, and it was a it was for his event. And we snuck out and went to his event, and it was, I don't know, at one of the places that he did. It was a called Nocturna. I remember that, and we got thrown out because he thought we were smoking weed because we were the quintessential punk rockers, like two dudes brooding in a corner, looking at like these weird people dancing around with glow sticks, and like, what the hell is going on here? And then at that party, somebody gave me another flyer, and I walked into that next party, and I heard Circles, Adam F. Circles, and I was like, what is this? Because everything was house
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Indiana and in Chicago. Chicago was 2.5, 3 hours away.
Right.
Everything was house music. And I'm just not a fan of house, as most people know. And from there, all we saw was house and techno. And
Mhm.
I walked in and saw somebody playing, and I forget who it was. I don't remember. I mean, this was like 90, I don't know, 96, 97, maybe. I mean,
I was trying to
some,
think when it came out. It was
yeah,
definitely 96 or 97.
yeah. So it was whenever that was, and it blew my mind. It absolutely blew me away. And I was hooked ever since, and I ended up not being drum and bass or jungle at that time.
Mhm.
I think Rude Boy, I think it was like 96 or 97.
Mhm.
Um, but when I ended up playing gabber and hardcore because we came from industrial and punk.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it just kind of worked. And I was an angry little, like I said, rivet head. And I just wanted, 280 beats per minute, 250 speed chord, just stupid music. I've got bunches of the records behind me, and I never play them. People would love to hear me play them, but I don't even want to hear myself play them a lot of times. I used to love the music, and I just went up and that's how I started that style of it.
Mhm.
That's when I got into actually DJing. Like I heard drum and bass and I listened to it and I heard the breaks inside of the gabber tracks
Yeah.
because a lot of the gabber tracks have that break beat, the amen break in it as well.
Mhm. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. So, um, I'm I'm hearing myself a little bit, I think, off of your speakers. Is anybody else hearing it, or is it just me? It comes in and out, so right now it's
If
actually
they
fine.
can, I can turn them down real quick.
I think we're good right
Anybody
now,
in
yeah.
chat hear her mic coming through or her speakers coming through my mic? Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me turn it down.
Thank you, Captain Majesty. DJ Spectro, are you serious? Okay, that's gotta go up there. Uh, alright, let's talk about this fun fact, Catch. DJ Spectro's, mom dated Adam F's father.
Wow.
We're coming full circle now. It's all connected.
It's all connected. It always
It
is.
is. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so interesting to me that Circles was the tune that made your ears perk up for drum and bass, being a rivet head and then being like speedcore and gabber. Um, I like that. That I can't even
Yeah.
remember the first jungle song I heard. But okay, so how did you end up in Florida? And you don't have to tell like, a major story for that, but
No, it's all right. I mean, basically, I ended up in Florida to take care of my parents.
mhm,
So I went, I'm not sure what's going on with my camera buffering like that, but I had a perfect setup in India. I had 2 or 3 residencies. We did a drum and bass night for a long, long time in the Melody Inn on Tuesday nights that we passed over to Naptown D&B that still runs it, I believe. So that started very, very long time ago. But from there, I knew something was up with my mom. She kind of
mhm,
talked in circles and something was going on. And when that happened, this freaking camera. My apologies. When this happened, I decided that I should come down to Florida and see what was going on. And at the time, I had well, like everything, not just multitasking, but with jobs, I usually have a ton of them. So I
Mm.
think I was doing two residencies. I was doing a residency at the Eden, a residency at the Tuesday nights at the Melody. We did the Hard Rock Cafe, where I took those speakers behind me and went inside the Hard Rock Cafe and charged like a cover. And we had actual, drum and bass playing in a Hard Rock Cafe, which was hilarious.
Fancy.
And um, then I also worked as a professional piercer at a wonderful studio called Metamorphosis, where I did branding, scarification, surface piercing, and suspensions. So we hung people from hooks and
Mhm.
did crazy stuff like that, which was awesome. And from there, I just dropped it all and left it all and came down. And when I came to Florida to take a trip, then I realized something was wrong with her. And I also ran a vending company that was kind of small. I had two locations, I think. So it was like six machines. So I would get
Mhm.
off work and either I'd work every day and then I would get off work and then I would go straight home and I would either work on the rental house that I had or I would go and do the residency and some days I would get done with the residency and then I would drive 2 hours west to Terre Haute, fill vending machines for 2 hours, and then pack up and drive home, and then get back up in the morning at 11:34 and go back to work.
Wow.
So, yep,
Yeah.
it was kind of crazy, and all of that I gave up and just decided to move down to Indy or to Florida because the person that did the vending route said, "Hey, if you really want to, you do such a good job up north. Would you like to take home a whole nursing home chain in Florida?" And I said,
Mm.
actually, it couldn't worked out any better.
Mhm.
Everything
Yeah.
happens for a reason. And so I came down here and I got a loan for like 36 vending machines or something like that, and
Wow.
basically started a big vending company or a larger vending company out of like a truck and my garage, as you guys have seen pictures of, and went
Mhm.
down here and went to Florida and did that and didn't know anybody. Back
Mhm.
in the day, I had to get on MySpace to meet friends because I went from knowing every single person in a town, like
Mhm.
literally every single person, to not knowing a soul.
Mhm.
And it was
Yeah.
funny because people are different in Florida. I love Florida to death, but the people are just different. It's not the down home Midwest happy go lucky everything that it
Mhm.
is. So there was a lot of differences
Mhm.
in that. So I just kind of holed up in my house and played records.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't much of a change, but I just did it for myself. You know.
So, I was doing research for this and was, reading your about page again. And did I read that right? That you actually also took a break sort of from drum and bass for a while before you got back on or before you started on Twitch?
I did. I did. When I came to Florida, I basically dealt with a lot of gatekeeperism
Mhm.
down in Tampa.
Mhm.
I went to this awesome, awesome event, and I don't know what they're called, but somebody in here that lives in Florida might be able to tell you. It was like every full moon, they did a full moon party and it was
Nice.
so awesome. Like I drove down there in my little drift car that I built to go on tracks down in Florida, and like you go over the causeway, which is 60, and they just turn off the other side, and you're just sitting on the beach, and all you saw was a generator. So we call them 9-volt parties, like back in New York and stuff back in the day.
Mhm.
But we ended up going and um, we ended up I ended up going down there and I was like, holy moly, this is awesome. Let's play some music again. Maybe I can DJ. And there was a guy even there playing raga. And at the time I had pretty much switched to only playing jungle and raga.
Mhm.
And I walked up and talked with them, and the guy just like was instant gatekeeper in me. He was just basically like, "Oh, well, you gotta know everybody in the scene, and you got to do this first and that first, and then maybe we'll let you play." And I said, "You know what, man?" I said, "I really appreciate it. but I work a full-time job. I take care of my mom, and
Mhm.
I have already built an entire scene of drum and bass and jungle in a town. So never
Yeah.
mind, have a nice day. And so I kind of went back to my house. I started playing music again, just and from there. But as soon as my mom got a little bit harder, let's just say more full time with her,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
basically just didn't. I couldn't think of anything else. I couldn't focus on anything else.
Mhm.
I tried to. So every once in a while, I'd go upstairs and just make a mix
Mhm.
and just be able to listen to it like when I needed a couple of minutes by myself, because that's basically all I ever did. I never really practiced. I never really played that much. I played to make mixes while I drove in the car for my other jobs.
Mhm.
And it really helped me out because
Mhm.
we always want to hear our own music. And as a DJ, that's the best way to know your own tracks.
Mhm.
If you go and actually make mixes of your tracks, and you can hear everything that you did wrong on repeat over and over and over again, but you at least know where the breaks are and your brain can start timing that.
Mhm.
And
Right.
that's
Right.
really what I would do with that. But
Awesome.
yeah, it was really cool. So I just didn't get into the drum and bass scene down here. I did, I would say, a couple of times play hip hop on vinyl and reggae on vinyl at a little bar down here called Universal Liquor Lounge. And it was funny because they asked me to come play. And I said, great. I finally set up for digital, so this would be perfect. And they're like, no, mate, vinyl only. And I'm like, really? And they said, yeah. And I said, okay. So they said, do you have any vinyl? I said, yeah, I have a couple. So BB ended up carrying all my records because at the time I was all broken and that stuff. And I would sit and play for about 5 hours at this
Wow.
bar. And I think they paid me like $25 or something like that for 5 hours of play. They got a bar tab, but I never drink. So
Mhm.
BB got to drink the bar tab. And I said, drink as much as you can because we need to get some money out of these people. But so I did that. I played underground backpack hip hop and things of that records. And but other than that, I've never played a show in Florida.
Mhm.
I've
Wow.
never done anything. So Twitch is a wonderful welcome for me, just like
Mhm.
escapists talk about. It's the best thing that you can ever do is to walk upstairs or into the bus, flip a
Right.
switch, and play for awesome people and just
Mhm.
let it out. I mean, it's creativity. We all have to do that, that venting of that creativity, and
Mhm.
there's nothing better than that. It's just
Yeah.
really really amazing to come up in your gym shorts and a t-shirt and be able to like just throw down. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think I can ever really play a gig again because of the simple fact that, I mean, I do want to, don't get me wrong. Like I'll figure out the
Mhm.
digital part and I'll figure out that thing, but just the fact of being able to have all my records near me, it's
Mhm.
really a cool thing. And I think that's what a lot of people like Entity and Epic and all these people that have massive vinyl collections that
Mhm.
usually play these massive shows can now just boop and play vinyl sets,
Right.
and pick out whatever
Right.
they need. It's really a cool time in our life.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, does anybody have any questions in the chat before we leave this sort of uh, entree of Catch becoming Florida man in Tampa? Um, uh, yeah, wouldn't that have, I really, it's crazy to me again that you and Escape Velocity Official, you guys were all in Florida at the same time and you met on
Correct.
Twitch.
Yeah. And
That's
the
amazing.
crazier part is too, is that Airstrike lived maybe 10 minutes away from me for
Hmm.
15 years.
Oh,
And he
wow.
lived right next door to my best friend, like 3 houses down or a street away, and that was where I was always in front of this kid's house working on cars.
Hmm.
So and then the bar, the Universal Liquor Lounge, was next to Hammerheads, which was the pool hall, and Hammerheads is where we used to always go play pool, and then when Hammerheads would shut down earlier, they would all come to Universal Liquor Lounge, the Liquor Lounge, and hang out. And I was probably DJing when he came in before.
Oh, wow.
So this is why it's really surreal. And the weird part is too is like I grew up with some people that people in chat might have noticed. There's a good buddy of mine named Lynn that's he goes by the handle End User. End User was from Indianapolis. And with End User, he actually called me one day and said, "Hey, I'm in the weirdest part of Florida, and I know you live in Florida. Do you think you might be able to come get me?" And I said, if you're in the Panhandle, that's like 9 hours away, 7, 8 hours away. If you're in in the Keys, it's 8 hours away. If you're in Miami, it's 5 or 6 hours away. So it could be way far away. And he was like, "I'm in this shit town called Hudson, Florida." And I was like, "No, you're not." And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Where are you at?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Are you by the Walmart or by the Kmart?" He's like, "I'm by the Kmart." And I was like, "Cool, I'll see you in 2 minutes." So his parents bought a place 2 minutes from my house.
Oh,
So
wow.
we would always hang out when he would come visit his parents. So how crazy is that? Like, you know what I mean? That all these awesome people of musical entities were so close, but we
Mhm.
really didn't run into anybody until
Mhm.
Twitch is like, "Oh, well, yeah, I'm right down the road." And I'm like,
Right.
"Man, I can't believe that even happened."
That
So
is
it's
so
really,
cool.
yeah, it's really interesting.
Um, so I guess did you see any questions go by? I know you were probably looking.
I didn't. I
Um,
didn't.
Everyone just seems to like hearing your stories, so I guess we'll just keep going.
Well,
So
they
how
can
did
think of
you?
questions. We'll just post them up in chat and we'll catch
Yeah,
them. I
there you
think I
go.
know somebody that multitask that can know a couple questions. So
He might do that. So you said you started on Twitch as a gamer. How?
well, it was really easy. Xbox came out with Mixer, and when they came out with Mixer, Twitch basically said, "Well, if you're going to allow," or no, I think they came out with a Twitch app on like the Xbox. It was like the Xbox Insider program. And when Xbox Insider program was kind of like it allowed you to go and download the latest the latest versions of all the Microsoft. So then when I was on Xbox, I was like, I wonder what this Twitch thing is. And as everybody knows, I'm quite frugal. And so I ended up realizing that I could look on Twitch and find certain games that I may have wanted to purchase, but at the time I didn't have $60 to just go out and buy a game every time I liked it.
Right.
So when you actually go and watch Twitch, you can see if you like the game or not.
Hmm.
So it was kind of like a cheap way for me to preview somebody playing the game instead of like a YouTube video.
Right.
And I was like, well, that's pretty cool. And we started playing this battle royale game called PUBG. And my buddies and I just thought we were the funniest thing on the planet. So we had to record this in some way. And we all were on the microphone. At the time, I was way too shy to be in front of a camera. And there was really no way to have a camera. You had to hook up like a Connect and you had to, do some trickery to do it. And what happened was I just was like, screw it, I'm just going to not use the camera. And we started playing PUBG. And I would then take the videos and cut them up and put them up on my YouTube channel of us just being total asshats. You know what I mean? Just talking about random dumb stuff just, and it really, really, really was a fun way to do it. Basically, at that time, I got in an accident and I couldn't really walk very well. I broke my back and neck in 5 places, and I needed to do something.
Right.
And instead of just sitting around moping about, oh, poor Crimea River, and I hate my life, I can't feel my hands, and blah, 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 I decided to start playing video games with my buddies and making something out of it
Hmm.
because we were all sitting there and, it was just an outlet.
Hmm.
You got to have an outlet,
Right.
whatever it is, reading, writing, screaming at the wall, whatever. Well, it was fun to sit and act like jackasses with your buddies from Indiana playing video games. So that's what we kind of did. We ended up doing video games, and I started streaming on Twitch with that and
Hmm.
realizing that you could say VODs at that time and clips. And
Hmm.
so there was a lot of, I think I deleted like 400 clips or something
Oh,
that day with
wow.
And it was just all us joking around with PUBG stuff, but I just didn't know what could have bunned me out of Twitch, so I just deleted all of them if I could,
Mhm.
since I could, and so that's how I got onto Twitch, and then from there it was me staying up late one night and clicking through all the random categories, like I'm sure we've all done, and seeing people, girls having other dudes trying to buy them a house. That was the funniest one I saw. The tip bar was like 450,000 US dollars, and she had got 195,000 US dollars, and I was like, good
Whoa.
job, get it. And so I was like, huh, I wonder what else is on there. And then I started checking out, of course, the music.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden I, clicked it one and started searching backwards and found the Boiler Kitchen.
Mhm.
And at the time he was just jamming out in his kitchen, no green screen, and it was him and Ash dancing in the kitchen, and big up to special ed. I mean, he was grinding
Yeah.
away at that time. He was playing 6 or 7 days a week, I swear. It was a lot of fun to see him do that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, so you found special ed, but how did you make the leap into DJing yourself on Twitch?
Yeah, so I went from, the boiler kitchen, boiler room. Well, the boiler room I think is technically the other
I
place,
met
but
the
the
boiler kitchen. Yep.
yeah, boiler kitchen. And so I ended up going from there. Um, I think I was inside of, I think like the next day I saw T-Mox pop up because you
Mhm.
follow the music category and then it
Right.
showed, relevant people at that time. And I got in there, and like we've all done, I just fanboyed out. Like openly, I know etiquette. I mean, nothing. You know what I mean? I definitely knew that I wasn't supposed to say, "Oh, well, I'm a gaming streamer," or "I do this," or "I do that." But I was like, "I got that record. I got that record. I got that on vinyl." And it's something that vinyl DJs. It's hard for us not to say. I know it sounds like we're being cocky or whatever, but it's just when you have it on vinyl. Um, it just was one of those problems that, are you guys still hearing an echo in the mic at all? But, basically from there, um, I went into T-Mox's chat and I started talking to him, and then he said, "Afterwards, why don't you why don't you" I guess your mic has an echo on it intermittently. Do you have another tab open or anything like that?
Mm-mm. Well, and I'm on earbuds, so I have
Oh,
no
okay.
audio coming out
Okay. Well, I'm sure it's
anywhere.
fine. It's they said sometimes, so that's fine. But, so we went from there. I was in a stream, and then I fanboyed out on him, and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." And I was like, and then he said, "Well, join the Discord community. Join the wonderful, oh my gosh, drum and bass Discord." And I was like, "I don't know what the hell Discord is," and he's like, "Well, you're gonna have to get used to it." And from there, I ended up jumping in the Discord and asking all the questions everybody asks. Well, how do you plug it in? And how do you do this? And how do you do that? And basically, to go from there, I ended up, I ended up, um, I ended up just getting involved with the Discord community. When I got involved in the Discord community, it turned out that everybody was open arms and very helpful with everything. Quack,
Mhm.
quack, Schwendy. And I ended up figuring out how to do what I love to do, which is networking. Found
Mhm.
everybody from there, found Escape Velocity, got into Escape Velocity's Discord, asked some more questions, annoyed everybody in there, and then said, I asked Tmox one day, "Yeah, man, I'm just hanging out. You got time for a Discord chat?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then I showed him my record collection, and he was like, "Wow, you do have quite a bit of vinyl." And then from there, I started showing him all my Gabber, and because almost all the records on the left-hand side of Tmox are all hardcore and Gabber and things of that nature. And from there, it was pretty interesting to see that we had a lot of the similar records and everything like that. And he basically helped me set up my stream and, told me what an overlay was and, all of this kind of stuff. I ended up getting a PC at that time so that I could physically do it. Good night, Schwindy. Have a good night.
Good night,
Um,
Schwinn.
and from there, we ended up just, I started my first DJ stream. I don't know where it is. I'll have to check it out on Sully Numb. It was like a year and a half ago. And yeah, I started doing it. And the rest is history, you
Ah,
know?
as they say.
Yep. Absolutely.
Catch, I think they're hearing me out of your
Okay.
speakers.
I'll turn it down or I'll face them a different way. Or I'll just put on
So
my headphones.
you can do that too, however you're comfortable. We'll make it work.
Yep. All right, chat. Let us know if that's any better. I turned the
Yeah,
speaker away from there. So,
awesome. Okay, so Adagio had a question for you that I didn't want to miss, which
okay.
is, did you used to skateboard in Indianapolis?
Absolutely. I skated in Indianapolis. They even built a skate park. I skated, oh, I don't know, ever since I was young. I actually learned how to skate down into, thank you, Billy. I appreciate that. I learned how to skate in Florida because I think one of the famous skateboarders was my buddy's friend in Brandon. There's a big skating population down here, and I would always come down here on family vacations. So I learned to skate down here, came up into Indiana, and just kept skating. And I skated probably until, oh, I don't know, I was like 22 to 25 or something like that, until I realized it was not worth the amount of pain that I put myself in when I skate, because I'm obviously clumsy and like to break lots of things. But yes, that's how I've broken most of my bones with skating.
Yeah, I don't skateboard and I've never broken a bone. So, make your own conclusions there. Okay, so you obviously from that story got a lot of help as you started on Twitch. And I should just hide that away real quick so we can see your name. Um, how did you get to the point where you are now the mayor of Twitch DMV? And who was the first person that called you that?
Golden Child was the first person that called me the mayor of Twitch. I'm pretty sure he was the one that said that, because he's hilarious. Sean is one of the funniest people I've ever met. But yeah, I think that's where it was. And I really think, like I say before, you get out of it what you put into it.
Mhm,
And as you know, I'm okay at multi-tabbing. And so whenever I found out there was other people um, that were doing this, I wanted to support other people.
mhm,
And that's why a lot of people wonder why I will stream and then sometimes appear in other people's channels. And it's because I want to support them as well.
mhm,
Now, I won't ever say, hey, I'm streaming right now, or come check out my channel, because that's just wrong in all facets of it.
mhm,
But as you know, I was streaming 4 or 5 days a week at that time.
mhm.
Well, I couldn't hang out in my other buddies' streams
Right,
because I would be playing.
right.
So we all wanted views. We all wanted another number up there to help for affiliates and to help with this and to help with that. So that's what I would do. I would just multi-tab in there and be in there. And I guess, when I click over and just scroll up and see the little red bar where somebody tags me, then I'll reply back, and then boom, alt tab out of there, alt shift tab or control shift tab, whatever it is.
Mhm,
And then from there, people are like, man, you're everywhere. How can you be in
mhm.
so many places at once? I'm like, well, I mean, I'm literally looking at a browser with like 70 tabs open. So that's just what it is. Not Twitch tabs. I'm focusing on you. Don't worry, Curly. I'm focusing. But
No,
that's
no.
basically what I did. And as much as I could, I would try and support people. And anytime anybody was like, "Hey, I'm doing this event," or it's my birthday, I'm like, well, do you mind if I do a pop up for you? And then I would stop asking and I would just do it. Yeah, the rest are Discogs. It's all Discogs. It's all Discogs. There's no room for porn. It's just all Discogs, Detroit Jimmy. It's just all Discogs, 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 and a bunch of YouTube videos on how to do something on streams or that kind of nature. Um,
Entity had something to say about your
yeah.
multi-tabbing here that that's a weird flex.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I'm not, it's not a flex. Like I said, I try not to have people know I'm doing it because there's some people that don't want multi-tabbing. There's other people that don't want us to be live in any of the streams. There's just all this other stuff, but I'm just trying to, Deep and I, it's one of our favorite jokes. It's literally our favorite joke, and he's made a thing out of it. And literally, the show he did, the 100th episode, Big Up Man Like Deeps, it was the funniest troll. It wasn't even a troll. It was so well done. It blew out the meme wars and everything else. That when him DJing and doing little finger guns in my studio, if anybody hasn't seen that, not to or to direct people elsewhere, go
No, do that.
watch that. The 100th episode, MLD on YouTube. He got me. He finally got me. And what an amazing, amazing. It was just amazing to see it. That somebody took the time, Deep 22, right? That somebody took the time to do something like that, because that's all it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's homage. People, they're taking the time to work on something hard enough, whether it's a meme or this or anything. I love you too, brother. Whether it's a meme or anything else like that, they really are putting time and effort into you, and it's all one love. It was outstanding, and I'm sure that Billy and Mikey and all of them knew about it and kept it a secret from me. And that's the best part, that I've never been like a person where people take enough time to do that. So to me, it was 100% humbling, and that these wonderful people take this amount of time to put me in a meme, or to put me like E-Rock puts me on his show, or freaking Entity turned me into a freaking avatar. I mean, that's the coolest thing I have ever seen, is that he made me into an avatar. I just jokingly was like, hey, on the Billy Lane show one day, I was like, I would love to know how you do that, because maybe I would like to be an avatar one day too. And boom, like a week later, he's like, open up this file. And Shazam, it was in there.
I had no idea Entity made that. That's fantastic. Did
Yeah,
did
all the
Entity
bridge on
make
the
the deep
Enterprise.
one too?
Yeah, he made a deep one. I mean, Entity is killing it on the game. I mean, he made a deep one. The first one he did was Billy Lane's, and that's the one I was freaking out about, because it was him with the green suit dancing
Yes.
around, all hilarious. And then that week he changed everybody to Billy Lane, so we all came in there. We all little mini Billy Lanes dancing across the stream, and it was just amazing. And I mean, the fact that Entity took the time to do that, and then he even made my freaking nanos. When you do the dance command, I'm like dancing and the nanos show up behind it. And it's like, wow, like that's why Twitch is this amazing place, that you have all these people that we all work pretty much full-time jobs. And then we go and then we take our off time is creating things for other people,
Right.
and that's, yeah, he did all the 916 crew completely. He did a Man Like Deep one where he's Dr. Deep, like Dr. Phil walking around like Dr. Deep. I mean, how amazing is that? I mean, it's just really, really, really cool that all of us are really taking the time to do this for each other. And virtually nobody's asking for anything in return except for a, hey, I appreciate it, pat on the back kind of thing.
Right, right, right. So this is a cardinal sin. I'm going to ask you a yes or no question, but I do want you to elaborate on it. Do you think
Okay.
that your sort of desire and motivation and just making it happen to support and build up other streamers has anything to do with having started in an underground music scene, in an underground kind of music, and building that?
Absolutely. I mean, when we started 1134, it was my buddy Josh and I just sitting on the back porch. And it was us realizing that we wanted to make something out of nothing.
Mhm.
And so we ended up drawing, like he was a graffiti artist, and then I just was a graphic designer at that time, working with Max Art with Rick Thompson. And we ended up making designs we made a couple funny designs that are probably not very PC for this day and age. They're hilariously designs, but they're not. They've never made it on my shirts or anything like that. But it was just this 11:34 thing that we were just joking around about, the digital clock, the hell, the this, the that, and we were just sitting on the porch just hanging out, and we decided to just let's go for it because all the big people in our scene had been doing raves. There was like 3 waves of raves in Indiana.
Mhm.
Okay. There was, and the first couple of waves were ridiculously, they were out of control. Like they did some toxic, like everybody jokes about gatekeeping. I come
Mhm.
from a town where, yeah, maybe I'll tell one story. One of the this is just it's just crazy. So like one they tried to set somebody's house on fire and videotaped it to then show it at the rave that they were doing sound and lighting at.
Wow.
The funniest one they did was they ended up changing the because we all did voicemail numbers and we all did map point
Mhm.
parties.
Mhm.
So the voicemail number they hacked into, they paid a hacker, a phreaker, a phone hacker, and they hacked into it to then change the directions to their party.
Whoa.
So everybody was calling for one crew's party
Mhm.
and they showed up from the map point directions to the other person's party. So it was
Mhm.
that cutthroat of a scene. And
Mhm.
we ended up sitting on the back porch going, that's just not something we want to be a part of.
Mhm.
And so we said, the only way for us to not be a part of that is to go and make our own scene,
Mhm.
even if it's just 8 of us hanging out in a bar, a club, or a back porch of a buddy's house or something like that. So
Mhm.
what we ended up doing was we created like a shirt line of iron-on shirts. So we got a printer. I got my first computer, and we made these designs. We ironed them on shirts, and then we went around to other people's raves and we sold our shirts.
Mhm.
And then from there, we made enough money that we ended up. I bought that sound system behind me, my B system, and we ended up like from Guitar Center used for like 300 or 400 bucks.
Mhm.
And I think it did 7, 8 years worth of parties off of that system. And what we did was we went through and we made enough money on the shirts that we did the sound. We made enough money on the sound that we bought turntables. We made enough money renting out the turntables and the sound system that then we eventually got to the point where we could go and rent out an ice cream parlor called Smedley's Dream. And Schmedley was this cool dude that just kind of helped younger kids. It was kind of like an underage kind of club. And I think Lisa was at one of the first events that we did.
Nice.
Um, and I've even got a recording from it that's up on Mixcloud, like my first party that I played. And that's what we basically did. We created this scene, and from creating this scene, I was then able to get other people into 1134.
Mhm.
So there was 1134, which was all of the mean music, like
Mhm.
jungle, drum and bass, gabber, that kind of stuff. And then there was
Mhm.
1135, which if you flip it over, it says sell. And that was
Mhm.
all the fluffy music. That was the house and the techno and the hip hop and things of that nature. So we had Justin Neal, who plays on Twitch now. He played house and techno. My buddy Matt Aiden, one of the best house DJs I've ever seen, he was in it. And then we were able to have this crew. So we were able to fill up a flyer that
Mhm.
was house, techno, get people in the door, and
Right.
then we would make them leave jungle, gabber, speedcore because they just didn't like it. And that's so I
Mhm.
always played at the end of the show to make everybody leave. So they would exit us and then boom, out of there. So
Yes.
that's kind of how it was. And as much as I cannot have people go through those
Mhm.
that just weird situation, that's what I'm going to try and do. And so I've
Mhm.
tried to broadcast that as much as Twitch and Discords and all the things that I don't want to have that anywhere near me.
Mhm.
It's
Yep.
camaraderie or GTFO.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
deuces.
So I'm preaching to the choir, but Deep said this and I want to highlight it. Um, he was commenting around the time when you were telling your story about getting the speakers and blah blah blah, that Catch is a true junglist. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here. I know Catch knows about this. I know Man Like Deeps knows about this. Probably most of you in the chat do. But when you start in this small jungle community and all you have is each other, and you are fighting side by side with each other to build a scene, I do think that translates into other areas. And you're like,
Oh,
okay,
absolutely.
we're small here too. Let's, instead of fighting with each other, let's work together and make
Correct.
something big, which is, I mean, that's how it happened in Texas. I'm sure
Absolutely.
that's how it took
Yeah,
off in Indy too.
absolutely. I mean, we would have large parties and there would be one junglist there. If we were lucky, I would drive to Chicago to hear
Hmm.
7, 8 hours of house.
Hmm.
Paul Johnson, Richie Houghton, and playing techno and all these other people. And boom, then I get to see Phantom 45 or Odie or, Snuggles and Slack or 3D, Dave, the legend, and all these people. And so these were the people that I would drive to Chicago, 3.5 hours away, to boom, see one junglist for an hour. And that's how I was. That's how I literally, my mantra was just to do that. And then we didn't have jungle stores in our town.
Hmm.
So there was no vinyl. It wasn't like the massive out in Cali and all this other places. So I ended up at the time, not to keep rambling on, but I ended up at the time going, and I was doing a lot of art schools. So I was doing summers. I was going down to Fort Lauderdale Art Institute and doing summer classes there.
Hmm.
And then I had basically convinced my parents, oh, well, because I was young at the time, I was 16, 17, 18. I had convinced my parents, oh, I need to go to New York to research colleges. So I would literally get on a bus like a Greyhound, or when I had the money, I would fly. And when I had a car, I would drive. And I would go to New York City and I would just walk around for a week. And first day there, I would go visit 3 colleges, grab the flyers to look like I did something. And then from there, I would go to Final Home, Liquid Sky, Dara's record
Hmm.
store.
Hmm.
Um, Frankie Bones had a record store there that had Gabber and stuff. Then I'd go to St. Mark's and grab records there. And then I'd just click, 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 click through thousands of records, because back then I didn't know names and titles either, or genre
Right.
or labels. And
Right.
if I heard an amen, I'd buy it,
Hmm.
because everybody played normal jungle at that time, or drum and bass at that time. It was like that was all the easy rollers and all that stuff was coming
Right.
out in 97, 98. So if it had an amen in it, boom, I would just buy it and take it home.
Yeah.
And that's basically how it all started.
I
That's
have
how the record collecting started.
I have to back up because I have no idea if this will mean anything to anybody else in the chat, but it did to me. Do you know how long it's been since I heard somebody talk about Snuggles and Slack?
Oh,
Like,
I love Snuggles and Slack. They were
I
killer
mean,
duo.
there were
Killer.
it's crazy because you're right. I mean, Chicago was house, 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 techno, house, house, house. But that little group of drum and bass guys that came out
Yeah,
of there
yeah.
was amazing.
Any of the
Absolutely
Jungle
amazing.
Book. I mean, there was that bifold tape, the legendary
Yes.
bifold tape, which I don't have it because it ended up getting lifted out of me. But I've got lots of other tapes, and boom, you saw. It was like, what was it? It was Snuggles and Slack, or 3D and Slack, and then it
Hmm.
was my boy Danny the Wild Child, and then there was I think Odie might have been on it.
Was
Uh,
AK on it?
what who?
Was AK 1200 on it?
No, 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 no. I forget who else was on it. I'll have to look. It was Phantom 45, Danny the Wild Child, Snuggles and Slack, 3D, Odie, I think. I don't think Mowgli was on it, but Mowgli was a big drum and bass. We heard
Yep.
Mowgli a lot. Rhea out of Cincinnati, I believe, is where he came from. Then Tatantan was from like
Yes.
Pittsburgh or Ohio. He would
Yes.
play house or techno and like scratch with a shoe and his tongue, but then he would sometimes do a jungle set. So yeah, yeah,
Tauntaun
Boogaloo
could do
13.
anything.
Oh man, I remember all these people. Yeah,
That's awesome.
crazy. No,
Yeah.
Diesel Boy wasn't on it, but that Live at the Freight Yard tape, I have to admit, I'm not a huge Diesel Boy fan, but that Live at the Freight Yard tape was still one of the best jungle tapes ever made. Ever,
Yeah,
ever made.
I didn't hear that one.
Oh, it's great. He does
Yeah.
killer. epic mixes that are still used today that people still buy and use and act like they're their mixes, you know.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm trying to catch up. Okay, who in the chat has a question while I look at my questions and figure out where we should go next?
Jimmy
Oh, Jay
Smooth.
Smooth. Yeah, that's a
I'm
good one
trying to think.
too.
I've got all my tapes still. I've got every single tape that I ever got. And still, I mean, well, put up in chat what your best mixtape is that you liked from back then. My favorite mixtape was something I don't think anybody has ever heard. And there was a DJ named Verge. And this is a kind of funny story too. Um, the DJ Verge, his name was Virgil. He was from Columbus, Ohio, and he did a tape called "Weapons of Mass Destruction." And
Mhm.
it didn't even make it to the tape vendors. I got you deep. I'll remember to talk about that. So the they were just handwritten tapes, right?
Mhm.
Well, when I started booking parties, I had moved out of my house, my parents' house. Well, for some reason, when I was like in my rivet phase and stuff like that, like we were all experimenting and doing stuff we shouldn't have. But when I was like raving, I really was very clean cut because I saw how everybody wasn't
Mhm.
and really lost big chunks of their life. And, up in Indiana, there was people knocking over like veterinarians places to get the ketamine out and like crazy drug scene in the
Mhm.
Midwest, right? Because there's nothing else to
Mhm.
do, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
So I just kind of stayed away from it. Well, my mom thought when I was a raver that I was all screwed up on drugs.
Mhm.
Funny
As you
enough,
do.
she took this package that was sent to me and hid it. So when I went to move down here, I found that tape
Oh,
like
wow.
years later. And I could have booked all it was Ben Kenobi, who was an amazing house techno DJ out of Columbus. It was DJ Verge, and somebody else. And to this day, I have never in my life seen or heard somebody play like Verge plays. Like, when everybody slams a fader over on drop, well, not most people don't do it anymore. Like, I
Mhm.
still butcher it and sometimes do it. They'll slam it over on a 4 count, right?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
knew his record so well that he would slam over like a 2 or
Oh,
like a
wow.
3 or like a 1.5, this, that, the other. And it's magical. It's magical how well this guy played. And it was just one of the craziest tapes. And I have tried to emulate his style. I have tried to find every single tune off of that record, one of which took me like 13 years to find. It's the only record in my collection I won't give the ID on, just because it's like people need to know how hard it is to find a tune. That's another thing.
Mhm.
They can just ID things and do stuff. Train spotting was real, as you remember back in the
Oh,
day.
yes.
I
Yeah.
mean, there was people in Indiana that famous people like Paul Johnson and like these other people, they would take posters and they
Mhm.
would stick them on top of the vinyl playing
Mhm.
so that you couldn't see the label
Right.
ever
Mhm.
because they didn't want people train spotting because they wanted that tune for themselves.
Mhm.
And that's how real it was up there. So I only do that with one tune. You can ask about 4,000 other tunes or whatever, but you
Mhm.
can't just ask for that tune.
Yeah.
And Escape Velocity actually knows the name of the tune, the name and artist of that tune. So they already know.
Mhm. Okay.
Deep's question. Oh,
Yes.
go ahead.
No, no, go with Deep's question.
Okay. About Deep's question, I don't know. The future is interesting on what it holds. Everybody's been so amazing with wanting to get to know us, and you guys have been awesome to ask me on your shows, and Billy's had me on, and Deep and I have had awesome conversations on his show,
Mhm.
and you're having me on, and I think even Norbski wants me on in December, later in December. And I have to admit, it's kind of fun. It's fun to be
Yeah.
able to sit here and take time and read chat and not just butcher type something back and to get to know everybody. So I would like to do some other types of streaming. I think it'd be fun
Mhm.
to do a game stream just because I am a nerd gamer at heart. I love to game. I love to get all sweaty and they call it, focus on what you're doing with gaming. I really, really want to do that. But the more and more I'm thinking about it, the more people are like whispering in my ear, maybe I'll do some sort of show that I just sit and talk with people. I don't think it'll really be like an interview show. I mean, I might have
Mhm.
guests on it where we talk about the topic, but I don't know yet. I really don't know.
Mhm.
That it really just depends. You guys let me know what to do, because it would be fun to get that interaction.
Mhm.
And you know, that's what we work on. We feed off on you. What's up, Meta Pattern? I saw you earlier. I didn't say anything. My bad. But
Hey,
yeah,
Meta.
chat 22.
That's
But
perfect. That's perfect. That's
oh, what's
perfect.
up,
Hold on.
BG? What's up, React? But yeah, so it would be fun to do that because when I'm DJing, I love the fact that, yeah, Billy v Billy, see something like that. Just do really stupid stuff that we would never do. Like I've never played Street Fighter, so come and play Street Fighter together. Or like deep playing. Maybe I'll have people on the show and we'll play games badly together,
Yes.
like where they've never played the game before.
Yeah.
And like we'll make them play it on their PC or have them play it on their PC. And it could just be kind of fun to do something like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think it would be fun to do that because when I'm up DJing, I love the fact that I can chat. Sometimes I'm okay at typing back and forth, but a lot of times I can't sit and have a conversation with you viewers, with you guys. And I do miss that. I see you guys having shows where you can talk to people and get to
Mhm.
know them and
Mhm.
do everything like that. And I have to admit, I'm kind of a little jealous. I'm jealous that you get that little like the connection with each other that I don't seem to really get to have.
That is I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's a really interesting topic. So before we talk about what makes a good DJ, tell me what makes a good um, supporter slash audience member. I know for me, when I came on Twitch, in a real life setting, I know how to show the DJ that I like what they're doing. I
Yeah.
dance, I yell, I throw my lighter up, whatever it is. But in a stream, it's completely different. So, what do you enjoy as far as feedback? Like, what gives you that feedback?
Well, it's a multifaceted question because coming from Twitch is a very interesting universe. Like
Hmm.
I read a lot about into it because like everything, I research and I research and I research to the death. I'm like a review whore. I look at reviews and read millions of them and everything before I ever spend money. And what I've really noticed about Twitch, and especially from reading Reddit posts and YouTube posts and things of that nature, there's actually bots that when you walk into the channel, when you come into the channel,
Hmm.
it calls you out. Not when you follow, but it will say,
Hmm.
"Oh, so and so, thank you for being here." You'll see those bots will make people leave because there's a lot of people, I'm not going to say on Twitch or just in general, that are very shy,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
are very big lurkers.
Right.
And some people, and I've seen DJs even with microphones, or they'll call them out. And I've noticed it's not really the best thing because some of those people are too shy to say hello.
Hmm.
They just want to be part of a community without making waves, and they may not know. And that's what I think is so amazing about Twitch is that you can be a lurker and still have
Hmm.
just as much fun as somebody
Hmm.
that's throwing down biddies or throwing emotes wild in chat or asking
Hmm.
for tracks and people's that wants tracks in their shows. Like myself, I love requests.
Hmm.
Other people don't take requests.
Hmm.
Other people joke like no request. He doesn't take requests. Um, so exactly right, React. Exactly. It's like shining a spotlight right at them. And there's a lot of people that don't maybe whatever it is, have enough confidence or just don't, they just want to be to themselves. And I really like the fact that they can have a home and they can feel support and love without any of that going on. And it's like BK says, it's
Yes.
whatever place we want to have. That's a great comment. That's very,
Hmm.
very good. So it's whatever you want to have. So if you want to sit and watch, great. If you want to sit and participate, great. If you want to put it on in the background while you're taking your Sunday morning hungover walks get your coffee, great. If you want to put it on, like I put it on when I'm mowing the yard, I'm not stopping
Mhm.
and doing anything with chat, but that's the thing about it. And I mean, like Jestrock, he listens to us all the time when he's working, and when he's off, when he's on a break, he'll sit and chat, and then he's boom out of there.
Right.
And I think that is just, it's a cool thing because as long as you let it, there's a lot
Right.
of people, I think, not a lot, but there's some people, and I'm not saying in the drum and bass community, but I'm saying in the community. Come here, Nismo. You want to be on camera? Come on.
Yes.
Come
Yes.
here. Come here, Nismo. So there's a lot of
Nismo.
people that, oh, that's a big girl. Oh,
Oh, baby.
oh, you got a sweater on. It's cold.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's chilly. She's like
oh,
Mike Airstrike. He
oh.
had to put a hoodie on today.
Yeah, I had to put a hoodie on today. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
puppy. So you've got some of those people that, that's a pretty girl. Yeah. She just had to come in and say hello. I hope you
Yeah.
don't mind that I
Yeah.
stopped up. There you
Are you
go.
kidding me? My next
There you
interview is gonna
go.
be with
There you
her.
go. But so yeah, so not to keep rambling on about that question, but yeah,
No.
it's whatever we want to make it, and
Mhm.
it's whatever we want to do with it. And just let those people, if they want to lurk, great. You know, they may not be feeling good. They may be in the bed chilling out, and you're the music that keeps them with their headache, feeling like they don't want to, slam their head against the wall. They
Right.
just want that little piece, or they wouldn't be clicking on your channel. They would be clicking on literally a million other channels at that time.
Mhm.
So that's the cool part, just because they're lurking doesn't matter. They're still a viable part of my audience. And for people to want to come into my chat room, do whatever you want. Ask the bot for a tune and I'll play it. Come into the Discord and request a tune. I love it. I haven't done much with it recently, but I had a little thing where you pick out two records. You pick out a jungle record and you pick out a drum and bass record. And then you put it up in my Discord and I try and find those records so that when you come in, I can play them for you.
Nice.
I know it's easy
Nice.
with digital tracks, but with vinyl, it's kind of tough. So I have to wait for other orders and things of that nature.
Right.
But do whatever you want. I mean, throw emotes in it. Don't, I'm just happy if I can make you happy because it's a crazy world out there and
Mhm.
any little bit helps.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for. I
Yeah.
just want to make people happy or sad. If you want to feel sad, some people come on my chat because I play sappy music on Sundays because they want to feel that syrupy Sunday vibe of,
Yes.
getting emotional instead
Yes.
of just neuro beating them down or whatever.
Yeah.
It's all whatever you want. And that's the beauty. You look through the chat, there's a gambit. Entity's in an absolute superstar of a lyricist. You've got Detroit Jimmy throwing down, techno and drum and bass and, all these awesome meta pattern playing drum and bass and having a big crew in ATL. And you got all these different people, Billy Lane has all different people on his show. You got all this different mix. And now we can, instead of listening to 6 of the same DJs
Mhm.
every week, we have a branch out that, I don't know, last count I was up to like 120 or something like that, just D&B DJs. And that was just my records. That's not collaborating with Billy and Gypsy Kid. So I'm sure there's many, many more that I don't know because of Twitch's lack of discoverability.
Mhm. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, what's your favorite part of streaming?
That's a really good question. It's a really tough one too. Yeah.
You don't have to pick the actual like
Well, of
don't
course, yeah.
yeah.
I'm just thinking because I never thought about it. One of my least favorite things was the camera, and now I think it's funny because everybody loves these crazy expressions and that I'm just
Uh-huh.
screaming. Like I can't think what Cycloptimus Prime is thinking sometimes because I'm literally screaming, singing at full throttle. I'm not just lip
Nice.
syncing karaoke. I'm
Nice.
actually singing. Um, so I really like to. My favorite part of streaming is probably the same favorite part of DJing, which is when you get in that groove and you're killing it because you're feeding off of the audience.
Mhm.
And when you're feeding off of that audience and it makes you get all into it,
Yeah.
And Beers and Beats described it as something like on Sunday, I just felt like everything was clicking into place. It was a very
Mhm.
emotional day for me. It was really tough. I was just trying to hold it together.
Yeah.
And that's why I had to stream. Everybody was like, "Oh, aren't you going to skip it?" And I was like, "No, I got to stream. It's like my
Mhm.
therapy, it's my medicine for me." And so it was really good to do that because I got out of my own head and I just got to the
Mhm.
point. And the way Beers described it is it's like when you play a video game and there's like a part on the screen that highlights and you have to walk over to that piece and like press your button on it. That's
Mhm.
how it felt when I was playing the other day. And that's where
Mhm.
you're just looking, and instead of looking or thinking for a record, because none of my sets are pre-planned, how could they be at like 5, 6 hours? I
Right.
just literally felt the energy that I have to pick up this record and play it
Mhm.
or whatever. It was like the video game theory or whatever Beers called it.
Mhm.
And that's really, really what it felt like. And that's one of my favorite streams. Now, my favorite part of streaming is just, I think, every part of it. I mean, realistically speaking, the danger zone, by the way, man like deep in the zone, the danger zone. But I think one of my favorite part of streaming is just the creativity about it. It's
Yeah.
what you put into it. It's like the overlays and that we're producing a TV show. And yes, you can
Mhm.
just have your hands on a mixer, or you can have your face, or you can have a million cameras, or you can have one or two. But like the Nismo cam, that was just something that I had always wanted to do. And it was better than I expected. Like because you see your little snout get all in the
Yeah.
camera, and I was like, man, that turned out really good.
At one point, she was laying on the couch, which, of course, is shocking anyway, but, yeah, at
Exactly.
one point, she was laying on the couch, and that angle from the camera was just so right to capture her sweet little face as she was sleeping there.
Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
that's cool because that's not something that it's a freaking DJ show, but
Mhm.
she was the hit of the show. She's climbing that rank of the hit of the show. She's born to perform, exactly. So that was really cool. And just seeing the different things that everybody does,
Mhm.
you know, like Billy's Zoom room is one of the most genius ideas in the world. I think that's just so amazing to see somebody that does that. And it's a lot of faith in your audience because of the fact that there could be some really weird stuff going on. And he's had a couple funny things go on, but it could be way left field that just happens. Yeah, too hot for Twitch, get you bunned right out of there. And then Crypto Shell does this really amazing thing where instead of a Zoom room for the DJs,
Mhm.
he does a Zoom room for the viewers.
Mhm.
So you can at any time click on the link and pop up, and then it's all these people on the screen that you could be partying with them, not just with crypto.
Mhm.
So that creativity, I think, is really, really amazing because of the simple fact that it's really, pardon me, it's really what you make out of it and it's really what you do with it. And seeing your guys' reaction to it is like, oh, that hard work did something. Because a
Mhm.
lot of times you don't get instant gratification.
Yeah.
As all the DJs in the room can get, I have been behind speaker walls that I never saw an audience.
Mhm.
So I didn't know if they were feeling it. You know what I mean? Or you're back in a
Mhm.
DJ booth at a bar where you're like
Mhm.
looking down on people and they're just dancing. So you're like, oh, they're kind of in the groove, but they could just be drunk. You don't really
Yeah.
know. But with Twitch, if your overlays off or your camera's crooked or, people will legit go, you know, that's a little crooked, or what's up with your shirt, or it's very instant feedback, whether it's
Mhm.
good or bad. And so that's what I love about streaming. It's
Mhm.
just that you can try, especially bad audio. Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can try to do something, and when you try and do it, if it's a success or not.
Mhm.
And it's something you don't really that's something companies pay millions of dollars for, is
That's a good point.
polls and test marketing and things. And we can do it for free anytime we
Mhm.
want, and automatically know.
Mhm.
Twitch breaks it down in demographics. Well, is it from the UK? Is
Mhm.
it from America? Is it from an iPhone user? Is it from
Mhm.
this or that? So that's what I think is pretty cool about it.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, okay, so you came to Florida and hit a wall, shall we say, of
Yep.
gatekeepiness.
Yep.
So what has it been like for you? I guess especially since lockdown happened, to be a part. Like, what has it been like for you to be a part of this all of a sudden much larger group of worldwide drum and bass enthusiasts on Twitch?
It's been an absolutely a one of a kind experience, I have to admit. It's been amazing. The networking, the amount of people that come in, the probably one of the best things that I can think of, and this is just from like a DJ standpoint,
Hmm.
is the simple fact that I have heard drum and bass tunes or jungle tunes that are from like 95, 96, 94, like that I have never heard before. And
Hmm.
you would think after 20 some years of listening to a music category and searching like I've done for a long time on Discog, just because I stopped playing drum and bass doesn't mean I stopped looking at Discogs and
Right,
looking at the
right,
music and collecting records. And so that was the interesting point because at one point in time, you really think that you're going to hear it all. But I'll go
right.
into like the Boiler Kitchen, or I'll go into Man Like Deeps, or I'll go into, 916, and I'll hear all these killer tunes. And that's when I get all fanboy out. And I'm like, I need to have the idea of that one, just train spotting, and just geeking out like a little kid. And that's what I think is probably one of the coolest parts to it.
Okay, so this is potentially left field chat. I'm sorry for this, but Ketch and I sort of talked about this briefly yesterday. Although, no, we talked about talking about it. What do you think makes a good DJ? I think this is a really important question. Yeah, you told me at the time yesterday when we were talking that there were two schools of thought, but I'm curious. And do you think the answer is different in real life versus Twitch, or different enough that it's worth mentioning?
What was the main part of that? I'm sorry, my brain.
What makes a good DJ?
Oh man, that's on Twitch, you said, or just in
Well,
general?
just let's just talk in general first. Yeah.
Okay. I think making a good DJ is knowing your tracks. Knowing your track
Mhm.
is obviously selecting your tracks because
Mhm.
basically DJs, it's a mechanical thing. Once you get down mixing and things of that nature, it is very yes, people can scratch turntablism, of course. We
Mhm.
got some amazing ones in the building right now, and you can always do that side of it. But if you took your greatest 10 tracks and put them out,
Mhm.
even if you didn't DJ and you
Mhm.
just were a selector,
Mhm.
sometimes people miss the mixes because
Mhm.
they're in the bathroom, let's say at a club or on Twitch, they're walking away or doing something. So they hear a tune and they love that tune.
Mhm.
Then they hear another
Mhm.
tune and love it. And so with that case in point, there's a lot of that point that is half track selection. And that's
Mhm.
why a lot of the best DJs in the world spend decades just searching for tracks,
Mhm.
just track after track after track. And then the other part about it is like BG's touching on, my
Yep.
favorite thing a DJ can do is to tell a story. I say this all the time. And that's why a lot of times when people will come in and request something, I'll say, well, not right now,
Mhm.
because I want to paint a little bit of a picture and take people on a ride. I used
Mhm.
to, when I taught people and when I DJ, like when I just taught DJs, I specifically told them, don't go in there and just punch people in the face. You can't just, you know, start them off slow and then ebb it down, and you can get up higher and higher and then ebb it down a little bit and then higher and higher and higher. But the weird part is DJing from, let's say, 2014 on,
Mhm.
I don't see that a lot with the major DJs because they're just trying to play 100 tracks in an hour.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I get I talk about it, I joke about it in my streams all the time about boomer mixing. I
Mhm.
will mix a 5-minute mix of 2
Mhm.
tracks, and I one of my favorite things to do, old school mixing wise, is when you read records, and for people that don't know how to do this, you can look at a vinyl and physically read the vinyl. and
Mhm.
that's how I love to show people how to DJ old school wise. And in the middle of that record was the major break, or what I call the major. And if you cue, let's say you're playing record A and it goes into the major break, and when it drops, then you cue record B. And when those two records are perfect,
Mhm.
they build and wax and wane together. And then when record B goes into the major break again, record A is ends. And
Mhm.
that's what I used to call perfect mix. I
Mhm.
loved it. It was like, oh, it's perfect. Metalhead records do that a lot. Moving Shadow records do it a lot. Well, now that's not how people mix.
No.
Now, most people mix with double drops. It's all
Mhm.
double drops, like Special Tater's talking about. They really, 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 really did that. And that's just something amazing, amazing how people do it, because they'll just double drop, double drop, double drop. And to me, I want to hear that beautiful airy break. My ear
Mhm.
needs to hear it. It physically needs to hear it, because if I just hear boom cack, boom cack, boom cack, boom cack over and over and over again, I physically don't like it. But I'm a
Mhm.
boomer mixer. And if people don't know what we're talking about when we talk about boomer mixing and boomer plates, basically Flight came out and said, the US flight came out and talked about on Reddit, and it was this huge blow up post like back in April or something about it. And what it was that he talked about 16 mixes, 16 tracks in an hour is boomer mixing.
Mhm.
I made a lot of tapes that were 16 tracks in an hour. Like,
Mhm.
that's what we did. That's how we
Mhm.
did it, and I still love to boomer mix because I love it. I just really love it,
Mhm.
and it gives me time to work on my beat matching, which I still work on every day I play, and it gives me time to type to you guys, because if I can lock them in, then I can type a little bit, and my brain is still thinking about our conversation, it's still matching beats, and then it's trying to figure out which record to grab, which is why I got the third turntable, so that I could then grab the record, throw it on there, type a little bit, and then start queuing it up when I'm
Mhm.
feeling in the groove.
Mhm.
And with that case in point, it's really like it's pretty interesting, with that. Now, new school DJs, they believe it's very short mixing,
Mhm.
15 to 30 seconds tops. Catch the break, catch the drop, boom, go into the next one. Or do the build up and the double drop at the same time. And I'm not saying I still do double drops, but
Mhm.
I don't do them a lot. I love to hear that break in the music. You'll hear me say it a lot. I like to let it breathe,
Mhm.
like a glass of wine. Let it breathe a little bit, you know?
Mhm. Um, yeah, that was a great conversation. Okay, so somebody who said it, where did it go? Oh yeah,
Vaguely
5%.
euphemistic, is that the
Yes,
question?
yes, that's the one.
I wonder what I did to tell somebody to kindly STFU. I wonder what that was. Um, yeah, that's something I try and do a lot in my show
For people
because
who might listen back and not read the chat.
oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, vaguely euphemistic asked basically, how do you, as a DJ streamer, you're the DJ, you're the producer, you're the bouncer, and how do you keep the vibe in your chat right the way you want it?
Yeah, it's really, really interesting because it's a fine line to do. It's a
Mhm.
very, very fine line of how do you nicely tell somebody to stop talking or to stop being negative, to be even nicer about it instead of STFU? It's the positive vibes only. I mean, of course, you can click in my chat and it says no, bun politics, bun negativity, bun this, blah, 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 blah. But
Mhm.
the fact of the matter is most people click right through that. They don't read
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
And so when there was very volatile times in our country, which has happened a lot this year, there was a
Mhm.
lot of people that wanted to come in and say, F the police and F this and F this and F this. And I was like, great, go do it someplace else.
Right.
Because the simple fact is that we're in here because we're vibing on some awesome music, that awesome people put their time into it, and we all want to carry on a vibe. And you can still talk about things, but go on the Discord if you want to talk about other things about that. And if you go and try and talk politically, you could divide your audience.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. So no matter what I think is right or what you think is right,
Mhm.
we could divide an audience, and some person might not want to come back, even though they like what we're doing, like
Right.
what we're playing, like what we're talking about, like how we're interacting. And
Mhm.
so I saw that really, really soon in the Twitch sphere that there was no reason to divide everybody because there was a small group of people watching.
Mhm.
When I,
Mhm.
I still feel, there's no reason to divide. There's enough division in the world. There's
Mhm.
enough division anywhere you want to go on Facebook, go on Instagram. Everybody has an opinion and everybody thinks they're right. And that's why I slowly got off of those platforms, you
Mhm.
know. And when I just want to have fun and play games like Psychoptimus and make pancakes and no use for anger waffles and things of that nature. And I just want that side of it to come through, and
Mhm.
it's very hard to do that when you're the mod for your own stream. And for a
Mhm.
long time, there's a bunch of mods in my chat, but we all have jobs and we
Right.
all can't catch. If you go on the major streamers and some of these awesome people in here, you'll see people that they have somebody in there every single time dedicated. And
Mhm.
you've been in my stream a ton. BK's been in the stream, Lexi's been in, but you still don't want to. They may not know how you're going to cross a line. They
Mhm.
may not know what you think is right, what you think is wrong.
Mhm.
Um, and that's where it's the fine line because A, I want everybody to have a good time. And
Mhm.
B, I want everybody else to have a good time if you're not having a good time. And I've had
Right.
people come in and say, "Oh, I have this wrong with me," or "I have this wrong with me." And sometimes I'll be like, "Well, this is what's wrong with me, and I'm up here having a great time.
Mhm.
So let's all have a good time."
Right.
Because people will talk about their sickness. They will talk about their pain, their this, their that. And I'll sit and talk with you about that stuff all day long because
Mhm.
I'm an open book on it and I've dealt with lots of stuff, lots of
Mhm.
stuff. 24 broken bones. I broke one on stream. I broke my toe on stream one day. In the middle of the stream, came back in and started playing records again, because it was the way to get out of the pain. I've had 20 some surgeries, the thing about it is, I just gave Beers tech support while being interviewed in my Discord. So the thing about it is, yeah, bun your browser, start using micro Internet Explorer. It automatically works every time. But the thing about it is that you have to learn how to politely tell somebody, we don't like that here.
Mhm.
And that's up to you on how to do it. You can
Mhm.
say, hey, that's a warning. You can say, hey, positivity only. You can then start to delete their comments out of chat because they did it. But I mean, we experience it everywhere. I've had people come in and tell me how to DJ. Oh,
Mm.
you missed that break. Oh, you did this. Oh, you did that. And I'm like, well, technically, this breaks on a 64. I don't want to mix it on a 32. So if you don't mind, I'm going to play it where I want to play it. Yeah, ha ha ha. You know,
Mhm.
so I've had a lot of people do some really crazy things while on stream. I mean, there was some guy in my stream for like 4.5 hours telling me how to DJ. And instead of just bunning him out of chat, which I should have done, I just was trying to corral him into being a normal person and to do it. Now, this same person got banned on Saturday in somebody else's stream and then started threatening me personally, threatening my channel, saying that he was going to remove me from Twitch and do all this crazy stuff. So you never know how it's going to work out. You can try and be polite as much as you want, but when something needs to get handled, you have to pull the root out if you guys understand the
Mhm.
expression. I mean, there's been people in here like Neuro just said that was impersonating a favorite DJ, a famous DJ.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
happened to do a little work for one of his best friends. And I asked him nonchalantly, hey, Mickey Finn never replies to my information on Instagram when I talk to him when he's on my Twitch channel. And then he was like, that's not Mickey Finn on Twitch. So, I mean, lots of weird things can happen. So just do your detective work, Detective
Mhm.
22, and figure out where you can find the information out. Try and PM them afterwards and say, hey, I wasn't trying to get on you, but you know that we're trying to preach positivity. And if that doesn't work, then ban them. Just ban them and realize that there's
Yep.
millions of other people and that they'll come in and that they'll be way, way better for you. And it's weird because you just want to I just want to get toxicity out of it as much as possible. And I'm very thankful that a lot of people have made me their mods in their chat. Unfortunately, that means I have to drop a hammer and I get targets on me. But the fact of the matter is then we can all kind of bond together and separate the situation if it happens, get it out of there, and knock it right on about out of there.
Right.
There's a guy impersonating me. Really? Who's that? Oh, Deep 22. Legend. MLD's a legend. A legend. I love that dude to death, man. I can't wait to hang out with you guys in real life. But so yeah, I mean, I just want everybody to have a good time. And unfortunately, sometimes you have to be the bad cop to answer that question. You have to be the bad cop to make other people have a good time, because you will see in chat when you're having fun and you're vibing out and it's rocking, chat is just blowing up. I got to put slow mode on, blah, blah, blah. And then you'll see one person come in and say something negative or say something politically or say something this. And it's like a tide turns and it just washes over. And after you see that a couple of times, you kind of are like, nah, I don't want that to happen. So we're our own police in Discord and we're our own police in Twitch. And I just want to, as much as possible, not allow that to happen.
Yeah. You're kind of building your own scene in Twitch also. So in the same way that your crew, you wanted to be involved in a scene that you wanted to be involved in, Twitch has that same opportunity.
Absolutely.
Okay. So do you guys have any questions while I go through here? We've talked about so much stuff. It's so cool. Okay. So you, not that long ago, I think maybe it was on your Discord, posted a picture of you were working to get your digital setup set up.
Absolutely.
What's going on with that?
My digital setup is set up, but it's on what's up, Ash? Good to see you here. It's on an old like Microsoft Surface that's probably not really meant to do tractor, but it works. I can break out the 2012 iMac or MacBook Pro or whatever if I really need to. And yeah, it's jorts or jean shorts, BG. But they nickname jean shorts, they're called jorts. But yeah, it's a really hard play for me to walk away from vinyl, because as much as people joke about it, I am a boomer. I like to go up, I like to pick out a record, I like to put it on, and it works. And digital wise, it's a whole different ball game. You physically have to know your track names and titles, which is very hard for me to do. My brain just works off of pictures like freaking Speak and Spell. It just does not work off of a lot of the other ways that DJs have taught themselves how to work out. So that's really tough for me. So I have to build up an entire digital collection, because most people, when they went digital or didn't go digital, they had this foresight that they would go and collect all these digital tracks. Why didn't I just collected vinyl, which was hard enough. So what happened in that case was there's a huge gap in my digital collection. I still have collected some, and a lot of amazing producers have given me tracks and things of that nature that I can play. But it's still very hard for me to know, like, if I look at this label, it sounds like this, and I know it's going to go with this label over here. I know you can use in key, whatever it's called, where you play in key. I know you can do it where it ranges on BPM wise. But yes, I got it to physically work through 2 PCs and my mixer with the 2 sound cards. And I physically got Tractor to play and the DVS finals working. It's just really hard for me to want to break my vinyl habit. I still am buying records on Discog. So it's like, do I stop buying vinyl? Do I just buy DVS or, tracks now?
Right.
Um, so it's a really tough play on me. There is some people that specifically come in because they see me playing records, vinyl,
Mhm.
which is
Mhm.
interesting. They
Yeah.
specific oh, and then it sucks because sometimes they come in and go, "Oh, look at that, a real DJ." I'm like, no, I'm not a real DJ. You don't see me do juggling, beat juggling, and flashing and everything on that. So that's what I consider a real DJ is a turntablist.
Mhm.
That's what I look up to. That's what I want to be one day when I grow up. Is a wiki turntablist. I sat and scratched at a wall for 10 years and I'm not any better than I was 10 years ago. But the thing about it is that A, I've never given up on it, and B, I don't want people to come in and say, "Oh, well, you're a vinyl DJ. You're cool because of that." Well, no, I'm
Mhm.
not. Everybody I tell everybody that comes in, well, in my opinion, I don't think that's right because I really feel that people that can go out right now and buy a DJ controller used for $100 or even just a laptop with the free software on it, and you
Right.
can get tracks for free off of Mixcloud or SoundCloud. Bob's your uncle. You're a DJ. You can technically go and DJ for pennies. What, a set of headphones and a
Right.
laptop? You can DJ. Whereas I've got Lord knows how much I don't even want to think about it into it. And so I would never paint baby into a corner by saying, "Well,
Mhm.
you have to buy vinyl, you have to buy this, you have to buy this, you
Right.
have to buy that." And it's just that thing. I just love vinyl, like Deep says. I really just love it. I love to
Mhm.
read vinyl. Work well reading vinyl. I don't work as
Mhm.
well reading a sound file
Mhm.
because generally, unless you scrunch it down, you don't see the whole vinyl. I can look at
Right.
any time and know my break's about to be done. I can look at any time
Mhm.
and know that this much of a record on 45 is going to match with this much of a record, and boom, I'm in it to win it. So
Mhm.
that's what I love about it. And with the digital, it's really hard, but I know that I'm limiting myself where I can't play a lot of killer Mike Airstrike tunes. Big up to Mikey, that I would just love to play, and
Mhm.
Billy Lane tools, and man like Deep's crushing it on these tools, and Doms and Beers and everybody. I'd like to play everybody's tunes, and
Mhm.
anybody else I haven't mentioned that's in chat, and yours, for instance, Curly, your wonderful tune you made, and even my own because I've dabbled just a
Yes.
little bit. But I would love to do that, and DVS allows that.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mean, I thought about buying one of those record machines, whatever it's called. It was like, I don't know, when it first came out, it was like €1,000. PhonoCut. It's called PhonoCut, where you can technically go and play any noise and it will cut a record for
Oh,
you.
wow.
You buy the blank, it's not a record, it's PVC. You
Mhm.
can technically go and get the PVC and it will cut it for you in 10-inch formats on both sides. And I wanted to buy it and I didn't
Wow.
buy it. And then boom, it was €2,500. And now
Mhm.
it's €4,000. So it's never going
Whoa.
to happen.
Right.
But it was also logistically not right because I had to buy the vinyl, the PVC from their company, and then the stylus. And the stylus cut 100 vinyls. Each vinyl was X amount of money. Like, I don't know, it was like $10 for a PVC. And so it was very interesting for that. But I have to make the shift to DVS. I have to make a digital shift. I'm not saying 100%, but I
Mhm.
physically have to do it for the simple fact that all these wonderful people are saying, "Hey, I want to fly you out here."
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Me? You want to fly me out here?" And I'm not carrying my vinyl. And BB said she's done. She's not carrying she's not carrying my vinyl anymore. And Nismo is just not big enough to carry the vinyl.
Yep. Yep.
So the thing about it is that I want to play out of state, or just even in Tampa or whatever. I would love to play elsewhere. And to play elsewhere, I I I would physically have to have all of these records that I love and play. I would have to have a good portion of them, like probably like 1,000 of them digitally,
Mhm.
for me to feel like I could go out and crush it like I want to do.
Right.
I understand you only need 500 tunes. You're only going to play for an hour, which is 16 tunes or 50 tunes, depending on what DJ you are. But the thing about it is that that is something that I would really love to do. I just cannot take the patience like From the Annex has. I can't sit and rip all my tunes.
Right.
And
Right.
what people don't understand is most of my tunes got rescued from basements, and just like From the Annexes are, and they are really bad shape. You hear them skip, you hear paper on them, you hear this and that and the other, but I don't care. They're mine. I saved them. I want to play them, and I physically can't afford a lot of those tunes again. A lot of those Moving Shadow records are $100 a piece,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that is something that digital could really help me out on.
Mm-hmm.
So if I start collecting more digital, then I will play more digital. If not, I may do a digital only day where I just do DVS one day, which is what I've been thinking, like looking for the future of the show. I might even do like a Syrup Sundays, digital version, because
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of amazing liquid tunes that I cannot get physically at all on vinyl,
Um,
which is a
I'm gonna have
shame.
I'm gonna have to stop you. I don't know what's up with me, but I'm literally about to pass out. So
Okay,
thank you so much for the stream. Thank
absolutely.
you all for being here. I can't even hear myself talking, but
I'm sorry about that.
that's okay. You guys are amazing. I'm gonna see if I can get a raid before I'm out of here. Um, yeah, sorry about
DJ
that, guys.
Spencer,
I
I would
feel
love to have
terrible.
your vinyl. That's what I want from you, is to clean your vinyl. I want to clean your own vinyl.
Okay, I'll see. I think Flex is probably still spinning, but I'm so sorry, guys. Much love to all of you. Um, whew,
You're
I'm like
fine. Thank you so much for having
sweating
us
and
on the show,
everything.
and you feel better. And thank you,
All right.
everybody, for chat crew. Thank you so much for being here and putting up with me rambling on. I really
All
appreciate it.
right. See you guys later.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Thanks, Dom. See you guys.